Hello! Welcome to another episode of Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate the rise of Skywalker 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
That would make me Josh Flanagan of ifanboy.com with our comic book podcast extravaganzas.
Welcome back, Josh. Closing out the week with us. Happy to have you here.
It's so hot in here right now.
Not in a Palpatine hot way, you
Right.
mean in a temperature hot way.
Well,
Anyway, we're here to talk about minute 115. 115, everyone, starts off with Poe explaining that he thought they had a shot. And it ends a minute later with chaos on the final order bridge as the rebels manage to take down their first Star Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say like Super Star Destroyer, but it's
No.
not a Super Star Destroyer. It's like a different, anyway.
It's like a Star Destroyer.
Star Destroyer
plus.
is inclusive.
Right, okay.
It's all...
So when he says, sorry, everyone, I thought we had a shot,
Mm-hmm.
is he talking about the relationship between he and Snap? And now that Snap is dead, he's like...
I thought he was talking about with Sorry Bliss.
I mean-
He was like, I don't know. I mean, do you think she'll call? And they're all
That
like
would
blowing
be
up. around.
incredibly narcissistic if in the
Because
middle
Kijimi was blown up, so he
Yeah.
might think she's dead.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, if he had the open comms on and he was talking about that while everyone is being slaughtered, then
Right.
that really is a leadership problem. Like, cut and dried. Like, that's...
That should have been the plot of TLJ, is having be like Leia being like, you shouldn't be talking about your personal business on the phone, you know, on the comm channel.
And he just won't stop doing it. And,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, why are they leaving him in charge? This is ridiculous.
Well, all the other people with experience keep dying, so.
Say what you will, he doesn't get shot down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, if nothing else, it's a big monetary savings. He brings the equipment back. That's the deal.
Maybe he's like, I thought we only had a shot, but I'm feeling pretty wasted here. Are you guys... I think Snap just blew up. What's going on?
What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
You know how this makes me feel? Keep firing
And once
it.
again, Lando Calrissian waiting in silence until the perfect line for him to come in, and he says, no, we'll do it together. And Poe's like, what? And suddenly we see the Citizens Fleet show up.
Just perfectly explaining the theme that they're not even bothering to be subtle about. There are many of us, and we will work together.
Teamwork.
I'm glad they elucidated that once more with clear language to let us know.
There was a ridiculous number of ships that show up here.
You want to take a guess how many?
Oh.
Just conflicting reports.
Oh, okay.
The ILM boasted a number, and then Pablo Hidalgo said a number. So it's
Pablo
possible
went
that
and
Hidalgo's... Yeah, he's like, what? ILM said there are 16,000 ships in
Wow.
this shot. Hidalgo claims it's only 14,000. So where's those 2,000? I don't know where where the discrepancy is.
In either case.
Well, maybe is he saying... I mean, ILM is saying there's 16,000 ships. Pablo is saying there's 14,000 in the people that show up. Maybe 14,000 show up. There's 1,000. Maybe there's like close to 2,000 Star Destroyers. Maybe ILM is including the Star Destroyers.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
It depends on
I'll
if
go
you
along
have
with
the pan and scan version or not.
Oh, yeah. There's just Wolfie Laren
Anywhere
sitting
from
in a chair like, I'm still here.
By the way, you're talking about old people things. Pan and scan. I
Yeah.
haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah.
So when Poe is having his like crisis of confidence, and he's like, no, he's not really flying. And I was like, well, I don't know if you've noticed, but around him, there's tumult. People are being shot out, and he's just. And then they cut away. He's right next to a Star Destroyer. Like he I mean, space. So he might be, miles away. But how do you do that? You can't just. He'd get shot, like, everything was getting shot down. He wasn't doing anything.
He's got a little secret behind him called R2-D2, who's really flying the ship while Poe gets a little emotional and breaks down. humans.
And again,
Right.
R2's just like, this again.
Yeah.
These people whining.
Who are
Crying.
these people?
Yeah. Why did I agree to this?
That's all droids stand up. Who are these people? And that's it. That's the joke. And all the other droids
totally.
think it's hilarious.
Who are these people?
No jokes.
It's not so much the words as the way he says
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's what really makes it.
And I
work.
can't do it because I have lips, but it's brilliant. The third tweet, he goes from the tweet into the whoop, kills me every time.
So I went, of course, I figured I'm not going to bother looking at all these ships and trying to figure out what they all are. Some nerd has to have done this already. And thankfully, the folks at Screen Rant and also on Wikipedia, you can find a complete list. Wikipedia has, I think, what is a complete list, which is much more involved than I'm going to go into here. But here's some highlights.
Of the ships that show up, is that?
Yeah, the ships that are around there.
Because interestingly, there is I don't know if they recorded it but didn't use it. There's like, they do it like all wings report in. You were saying you wanted more of the chatter. They do like an all wings report in kind of a thing in the book where it's just, you get to hear a couple of these little Easter egg nuggets. But please read a list.
It's funny to think that all wings report in, and then 16,000 ships everyone has to say one at a time for all to report in while they're all doing that.
And they'll get exploded while they're doing that.
Isn't that what you guys do with the patrons?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah. The Falcon, of course,
Mhm.
Lando and Chewie and company flying that one. The Ghost from Rebels. We have the Colossus, which was something from Resistance. Something from Resistance made the cut. That's shocking to me.
Well, wasn't it
It's
going
a total
concern?
kind of been erased.
14,000.
Yeah, but I mean, like, Resistance has had no love in the ever since it was off the air.
Wasn't it on the air when this came out though, or is that not? Am I getting my? Is it all? It's all a blur.
I think it was over before that. But
I'll tell you what, I don't even know what you're talking about.
There was a cartoon where it's not like, usually they do the CGI cartoons.
Mhm.
This was like line animation, and it was focusing Star Wars Resistance, and it was focusing on right before The Force Awakens.
Mhm.
Poe Dameron was a character,
Right.
and it was not well received. And Disney seems to have been I don't even know if is it on Disney Plus? Who knows? But if you're a fan of that show, you'll be pleased to see that the Colossus is one of the ships that shows up.
Will you see it? Like,
I'm sure if you're a Colossus fan, it's a big ship at least,
Right.
so maybe it's one of those big ones in the back. The Crucible, which was in the Clone Wars cartoons, and last we saw it, it was in the hands of Hondo, that Filoni-verse guy that everyone seems to love, so maybe we'll see it again if he shows up. Droid control ship from Episode 1. Does this imply that the battle droids are being used somehow in this battle? We don't know.
And did the New Republic inherit the right to use the droid control ship? No, because that was still the Trade Federation.
Spoils of War. Is the Trade Federation still around?
Maybe.
I think that's
My guess is...
Were they part of the New Republic? Were they?
Yeah, there's no reason.
Yes.
I mean, even if the leaders were bad, they wouldn't
Right.
say, okay, well, the whole country is kicked out of the...
Right.
Anyway, I think we're putting more thought into this. I feel like anything they had a CGI model of, throw it in there.
Right.
I think that was probably
Yes.
there, regardless of whether or not it makes sense or anything like
And
that.
that there must be non-Star Wars appearances. Is there an
No,
Enterprise
I've not
in
seen
there
a mention
somewhere?
of them. You'd think so, with all this potato and sneakers in the background in the asteroid fields, but I've not seen anything that mentioned Easter egg filling plot holes. You think it would be a natural thing to put in there,
Yeah, and
especially since Disney owns so much, they can put a lot of stuff in there that wouldn't get them sued.
Yeah.
and they're so tiny. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's not gonna take you out of it.
Yeah, they could put the Cygnus. They could put like a helicarrier. They could put all these, the aliens, the Nostromo,
Galaxy Quest,
all these things that they
USS Flag. That should be in there.
Flag.
Totally.
You
They don't
mean
own that, though.
the GI Joe one.
The GI Joe the GI Joe aircraft carrier.
Aircraft
that should
carrier.
be in there.
Yeah. Star Cruiser Yamato. There should be a bunch of anime ships in there. There's also Hammerhead cruisers, Dornian gunships, Guavian starships. We assume are run by the Guavian death gangs who we heard about.
They have wonderful juice.
You got your frigates, you got your Consular class frigates, you got your Nebulon class frigates, you got your Pelta class frigates, and you got your Vakbior class frigates. You got your Mon Calamari cruisers. You have your Ventnor class Star Destroyers. Those are the ones we saw in the prequels.
Oh,
Those like mini Star Destroyers. They have like red and everything on them.
Why aren't Mon Cal ships all full of water?
I think the parts we see are like guest areas. I think the rest of the ships are probably filled with water. That's what I would do anyway if I was doing it. It would smell like a pool. There'd be like a chlorine-y smell all throughout the ship.
They don't like that. They like it briny.
Didn't we see that? Didn't we have
one of the Mandalorian episodes?
There was a pirate ship was full of water or something like that. I don't know. There were some.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
We also see the Eravana, which was the cargo ship that Han and Chewie had in The Force Awakens.
Who flies that now?
The Kanji Club?
The story for another time. We see several Celestin freighters. Those are the 9 Nunbas race. We see the bombers from TLJ. I'm sure that made people very happy to see those ships again. We see some fighters. We see Komrk, K-O-M''RK. Any guesses?
Komrk.
Some Death Watch ships. That's from they're ships from Mandalore. They were in the Clone Wars. We see some N1 fighters from Naboo.
Love that.
Interestingly, they do not have hyperspace, so they would have to have been carried by someone else.
Right.
Can you do a rope? Can you do like a cable into hyperspace? Is that a thing that works?
Tow cable.
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. The Oztuk anti-slaver gunships. Now, I know what you guys are looking at me puzzled, but old EU fans know that those are the ships that were used to hunt the two Wookiees flew those because they were anti-slavery ships. So they would go around, I guess, freeing Wookiees and stuff.
What EU thing was that from?
Yeah, whatever the old. Was
it a book?
The ones where like Bosk fought Chewbacca.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know which whether it was in a video game or the Wedding of Princess Leia or whatever. Star Speeder 3000. That's of course the Star Tours ship. From Star Tours. Have you done Star Tours, Josh? You must have when you lived in Los Angeles.
No, I didn't do that. Right before the pandemic, we went to Disney. And
Land or World?
World in Florida. Before it became Florida in my mind. It was like near the end of the day, and I went with everybody, like meaning like both of my sons and my wife, and we did it. And then it like cleared out. Like we waited for a while for that, and then it was empty. And I was like, Henry, you want to go around again? So we did it. We did it like 2 more times. It was great.
Nice.
I think it was much more impressive than I thought it would be, given that it was been around for a while. You know what I mean? It was very fun.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember which world? You don't remember which worlds you saw on your tour.
No. I remember very clearly like the hallways and the set and like walking under the AT-AT to go in, like more than sort of what happened.
Yeah, that AT-AT, I don't know if it's still up or not, but that was a really cool thing to see in real life.
Yeah.
That's what they should do in anyway. There's some quad jumpers, which we saw in Jakku, a Nubian yacht. Which is, the I think apparently that's the one we're going to see Sheev blow up, which is kind of funny that he's blowing up a Nubian ship. And the last one of note is the Aerie, A-E-R-I-E. How do you say that? Aerie?
Aerie.
That is flown by our old friend, Empty Nest, from Solo, A Star Wars Story. Before you go pause your Blu-ray, the ship does not actually appear on screen. It's mentioned in like a comic or ancillary material. So, Empty Nest. She was there at the beginning. She was there at the beginning of the Rebels, and now she's here at the end.
Oh yeah, let's see. I don't see it. They in the book they mentioned Mon Calamari Fleet, the Ghost, Phantom Squadron, Anodyne 2. Alphabet 2. Yeah, I think Alphabet Squadron. That's the thing from like books and stuff.
Is that Alphabet TOO or
TWO? Should have been Alphabet B. If you're Alphabet Squad, you should. I don't know. Maybe not. Zayversio with Inferno Squad. Fireball.
Inferno Squad. I can't tell if that's a good name or a terrible name for us.
Yeah. They don't last very long. But
Every time.
Well, I have before we get to the meat of it. Well, or should we? I don't know. While I got the book open, I'm talking, of course, about the Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, expanded edition by New York Times bestselling author Ray Carson.
It'll be important for the next part.
Okay. While Josh grabs that, I will tell you that there was a scene. So here, there you go. Lando, of course, shows up with all these. He got all these people going. And why? Last time we saw Lando, he was like, I'm too old for this. I'm not doing that. Why does he all of a sudden show up? And we get a little bit, a couple of times we see him being more thoughtful, having second thoughts about this in the novelization. We saw him, he got really mad that the Knights of Ren were near the Millennium Falcon. He didn't want them desecrating it.
His ride.
And then he came back, we saw him talking to Poe when he came back to the base. And was just like, yeah, let's go. We're going to go out and find some people. And he has a moment here that's not filmed, obviously, where he's on the Falcon, going around, just kind of walking around the Falcon by himself, opens up, goes into Chewie's room, and hits the button on a hologram disc, and prying, as Lando might do. And it projects an image of Chewbacca. An image of Chewbacca himself is projected onto the disc in soft blue. He held a small human child in his arms. Lando leaned closer. It was Ben, dark-haired, chubby-fisted. He kicked his legs and yanked on Chewie's fur, shrieking in delight. Chewbacca just cuddled him close, making a sound that was almost like a purr. Lando flicked off the hologram. He couldn't watch anymore. The First Order had taken so much from all of them. So we missed a scene where he goes into Chewie's room and watches a little hologram of like baby Ben Solo playing with Chewbacca.
That's actually kind of sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's goofy, but...
It is. I can see it both, because we talked about at some point, like, we wanted to see their relationship, and we do get a little glimpse of it there.
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
weird.
really
I never thought of
looking for
Lando. I never thought of Lando as having a relationship with Ben Solo, but I guess he does. I
mean, he knows of him enough, and he sees this thing with Chewie, and he knows that it's Ben. But
it really has to do with the fact that they're both they're both part of his deep love for his ship.
Right.
Now, the first thing I thought of when you told us that is last we heard, Chewbacca's bedroom was Lando's old closet.
I can back up as the part where he goes into Chewbacca's room if you want. There's a good amount of Millennium Falcon topography that they go through too, where he goes through, and this cargo thing was on the left.
Wow. But do you think after Han Solo died, did Chewie be like, good, now I get the master bedroom now? Sorry,
a lot of things happen in this room you can't know about.
Don't bring a blacklight in here, that's for sure.
Let's see.
This was where cloak storage was.
We did. He entered the curved corridor. At his feet were secret compartments lined with sensor-confusing amalgam of rare metals and conductive mesh. He'd smuggled a lot of stuff in there. To his right were the cockpit and lounge. To his left was the cargo hold. He loved that hold. Lando had transported legal cargo, too, though most of it had often been cover for more valuable, less legitimate goods.
When is this happening in the book?
A couple of pages ago, when they're after they do their meeting around the table, and they were like, "All right, we're gonna may the Force be with us. We're gonna go battle." Yeah, so he's walking around. Often, though, his cargo hold had remained empty, or at least not quite full. He'd thrown a lot of great parties in that hold. He turned right and headed toward the lounge. Chewbacca seemed to understand that Lando needed to take his time, so he motioned that he'd be waiting for him in the cockpit. Thanks, Chewie. The hologram board and lounge seat were exactly the way he remembered them, although the stuffing in the seat were starting to come out at one seam. An easy patch.
Why is this all included in the book?
This should have been in the movie, all of this, where he's walking around being like, this seat.
Yeah.
Behind the lounge was the guest bunk, a place he'd slept often in the days of the New Republic, and he felt a pang so sharp it was like a stab to his chest. Leia had always managed to find some essential errand for him, and Lando had ended up an unofficial second mate on a ship that used to be his. Lando passed the galley and headed towards the captain's cabin. When he had owned the Falcon, the ship could only sleep 4 comfortably, 2 in the guest bunk and 2 in the captain's cabin, and then that cheater Han had won the ship from him in a fateful game of sabacc, and the first thing he'd done was retrofit the Cape Closet to create a first mate's bunk for Chewie and a hidden compartment. Lando had been outraged, but it seems so silly now. He peered into the captain's cabin. Lando understood, but he stepped towards Chewie's bunk and the compartment it was hiding for a closer look, but then he hesitated.
Can you imagine this is in the movie, and then afterwards be like, that 20-minute scene
Yeah.
seemed really out of place. But I
bet
really
Chewie's-
do understand the Falcon now in a way that I never did.
Yeah.
So apparently Chewie is still using that room as his bedroom. So who gets the big bed, I wonder?
Well, so I skipped that part. He peered into the captain's cabin. The Falcon had endured a rotating crew for the last few months. He had no idea who slept here, if anyone. The room contained a triple bunk now because Han wanted to squeeze more people in. For a while, he thought he'd take his new family on a run or two. But so he goes into the Chewie's room, and he reaches across the bunk for the rivet that was really a button and a panel whisked open, and that's where there's a secret compartment in there too. And that's where he finds it. First thing that hit him was the smell of Wookiee fur.
I was gonna say,
Better than rotting meat.
Yeah.
always thinking with your stomach.
Well,
Why does Lando open up Chewie's secret compartment? This seems very.
he's just walking around
He's
doing a
looking
tour
for
of
an
the
old
Falcon.
weed stash that he had there in the Kessel Run
Hello.
days. Hello. What do we have here?
He sees it. He says
Alderaanian gold.
it was none of his business. Probably a treasured memory from his homeworld of Kazook. Chewie was over 2 centuries old with a long history of family and friends Lando knew nothing about. He started to leave, but stopped. He couldn't resist. He was a scoundrel after all. He reached forward and flicked the hologram switch.
Took Chewbacca's wallet.
Yeah. Scoundrel. Yoink.
Not even enough to make it worth it.
But, so once they do show up, guess who's there on the Falcon?
Who? Me? Is it me?
Yeah, this is the reason. Well, not the reason why Josh was there. Josh was going to be here somewhere, anywhere. But the reason why he's appearing at this point in the season is guess who's on the Falcon? It's our old friend, Mr. Wedge Antilles.
I have headphones on, so I can't wear it. I mean, I could, but I wouldn't hear you, and that makes for bad TV.
Take off your headphones for 1 minute. Put the thing on so we get at least a screenshot of you wearing it, and then. So the listener who's not watching it, and I don't know why you're not, Josh is putting on. He has that's an official replica of Wedge's helmet.
He can't hear you. Remember?
Oh, he can't hear us.
Yeah.
That's right. Anyway.
So, oh yeah, look, he's doing some cockpit acting. Good stuff.
Oh yeah, there we go.
It's my box work.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Wedge is back.
Wedge is back. Good cockpit acting there.
Just in case
good.
anybody was like, I don't know, when this guy's on the show, he seems like he's too cool for Star Wars. I think I want to just put that to rest.
Showed your bona fides right there.
Yeah.
Josh, what was your? Did you know going in that this was the case that Wedge would show up, or were you like?
Yeah, you know me. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Like what I did was I did the thing with the popcorn where you go
Right.
and I screamed, and the rest of the theater was like, "What the happened there?"
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember if I knew it. I feel like I might have.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have, but
I
like
think I
everything was
heard-
going on. Yeah.
I think I heard beforehand that there was a cameo from Wedge in it.
Yeah, well, it was the thing. What I do remember is that he, had refused to or wouldn't show up for the first one, and I have a little. I did some research into this because I wanted to know what changed, because the original, in The Force Awakens, he was quoted as saying, "They asked me, but it just would have bored me." That's 2014, or whenever it was they started that. But then, he says, J.J. Abrams got in touch with me directly, which is very unusual. They don't do that. They wanted me to do 5 days on the movie, but I was in a play and then directing a play, so I was just out of it. And he said, I don't think we can make this work. And I said, come on, we can do this. So now he's trying to convince JJ.
Yeah.
So instead of 5 days, I just managed 1. But it was lovely to get back on the set. It was nice to step back on. It really was. And that he said that on the Making Tracks podcast, apparently. So he must have softened over those years. But the fact that he only got 1 day out of it is glaringly apparent, as he was not put in the shaky box. They just put him in the seat there.
Yeah.
It was cool to see him, but it's not like, it was like, here he is. Anyway.
Yeah.
I thought my first thought was like, they can't show him at least making some sort of crucial shot. This is the guy, the hero of the rebellion. He was there. He did all the things, and just like, he's put some. Just I'm here, guys. Show him do something cool.
Good flying, Lando.
Yeah.
Good flying, Lando. Nice flying, Lando. Sorry.
Yeah. I thought.
Do you think?
Good.
Do you think it was financially motivated? Why he was like, hey, I get paid, $50,000 for 1 day, sure, or whatever.
I mean, maybe, but
yeah,
I can't.
Because he's been very kind of dismissive of Star Wars over the years.
I feel like maybe you can only keep that up for so long. Meaning that like you can try to be tough about it and try to be cool, and I'm in the theater.
Yeah.
But you do step on
Harrison
this.
Ford could come back.
Right.
Dennis Lawson.
Yeah, but
you
you step on this, and you have on the set, you have memories flood back. You're like, well, you're like, I don't know how you would not be moved by that, regardless of whatever he feels, or whatever. Like, it defines him to the public for his entire life, and show up one day, do a thing, be in the thing. It's nice too, because you don't want to think that like this weird little sort of non-character who shows up in everything and all this lore gets built up around him. You don't want to think like that guy hates it. So to hear like as an end cap,
like Harrison Ford.
Yeah, like Han Solo.
Yeah, but like that's his move. I don't care. I mean, he still did it, and when he's like, Chewie, we're home. Like, you bought that. So either he's an incredible actor, or he felt something. There was like a real, I don't know. I felt there was something there. Like they all tried to be cool and it didn't really work. But so like that's great. Like they put him in there. They respected the nuance of having that character do a thing. But I do think it was like, well, why isn't he in X-Wing? Like that's like he should be in an X-Wing. Why is he's like, no, I'll just do shotgun. I'm fine.
Right.
And then he doesn't, he didn't shoot anything. Did Lando and Wedge make awkward small talk about Nine Nunb? So have you heard from him? Where's he been? Have you seen him since?
He's down in that. He is in an X-Wing, actually. He's there,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You remember
He gets an X-Wing.
You remember you guys were flying this one, and then I was like, we did that second. Yeah, and Lando's, yeah, I do remember. That was cool.
Yeah, I guess the good thing is I don't think we were deprived of any like. I'm sure if Dennis Lawson had done 5 days, he would just be standing around in the background with
absolutely
at the meeting around the table
and Hobbit.
He would have been angry about it. Like at the end, he would have been that really was a waste of my time. But that's a good point. Like you literally don't need more than that. He doesn't need a storyline. It's fine.
I think I did know going in that he was, because I don't know if I would have recognized that was Wedge.
Right.
In a if I didn't know to look for him.
I think that might be correct.
I mean, granted, I'm not the Wedge head that you. I mean, we never really see him with his helmet off. So the fact that he has like great, like it's
Didn't he have his helmet off
to
at the Ewok celebration?
Yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
And I think during one of the
briefings,
pre-game, briefings, I think you probably saw him with the
right.
Yeah. But anyway, and he had black hair back then. Not. So.
I guess the other thing would just be like, even if you did know him, was he on screen long enough to register it as you're watching 1,000 things go on? That's my
I think that was my reaction, was just like, what was that Wedge? It's like, it's like I drove past something on the freeway. I'm like, was that Wedge?
I guess I'll find out when it comes out on video if I remember to look. I mean, you guys will, obviously. So
right,
but it's fun.
I mean, if someone had asked me to make a list of which Star Wars character do you think you're going to see gunning using the Falcon's guns, I don't know, Wedge would have not been.
No, yeah,
he has no history.
He would have been like
gunnery.
above Feltapern in terms of characters who I thought would show up on the.
He's a pilot.
But
That's like having C-3PO show up and he's cooking. Like, it's not what he does. He translates. He annoys people. That's the deal.
I would like to see both Phil Depern operating the guns and C-3PO cooking. So if we can make these things work, I think with AI we can just do that, right?
yeah, totally.
So
The C-3PO cooking show.
in researching this, I wanted to know things. I was trying to look up, like, what I literally thought was, did they pay him a lot of money? Is that why he came in? Found that little story, wanted to do it. But there was one article, and I believe it was in Screen Rant, and basically the premise of it was that his triumphant reappearance in the movie was underscored by great tragedy. And yes, and I had no idea what it was about, but I do know that they wrote at least 1,000 words on this pointless thing. However, in it I did learn that since he arrived I'm sort of quoting, he arrived in Rise of Skywalker too late to save his stepson, Temmin, who was shown being killed over Exegol. Because in the Aftermath trilogy of books, of which I did read the first one. I read the first one. Couldn't tell you anything about it. Wedge befriended him and then married his mother, which is a baller move to do to a younger pilot. Like, yeah,
Right.
I flew the first 2 Death Star runs. I blew up an AT-AT with Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And
I just married your mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. They call him Wedge for a reason.
He gets in there.
Works his way right in there.
He'll wedge his way into your family. That's what this guy does.
Yeah.
He finds a guy, he
Cereal.
makes fun with him,
Yeah.
and then he figures
That's
out
why
any
they
way
only-
to burrow in.
They could only let him in there for a day because otherwise he would have taken
Yeah.
over the whole thing.
Sorry,
It's funny that he arrives just after Snap Wexley gets killed.
Right.
but he doesn't. He seems pretty upbeat, so maybe he didn't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff
It's a
going
stepson.
on.
It's his stepson. Yeah. It's not the same.
There's no love lost there.
It's not the same type of relationship.
So there's a lot of
Um,
speculation after that about how he would probably feel when he finds out that Temmin's mother is without a. That's the thing. Not so upset about Snap, but when he gets home, that's gonna be rough.
Right.
Because
You think he's still married to Mrs. Wexley?
I don't know.
I assume her last name was Wexley beforehand. But
Yeah.
Nora
that shouldn't
Nora
say-
Wexley.
Nora. Yeah, there you go.
Nora
Nora
Wexley.
Wexley.
Nora Wexley.
Totally sounds like somebody from like Dynasty or something.
Yeah.
Nora Slap Wexley.
Slap Wexley. They all have different, you know.
Crackle.
And Pops, who blew up in the
Pop. Yeah, that was the father, Pop Wexley.
Steve Thwack Wexley.
Don Martin named all the children on the planet.
Sploing Wexley.
Bracca Wexley. The famous.
Well, anything else for 115? Or Josh, do you have anything else? Any comments about the movie at all? Because this is your last crack of the bat. In fact, this is your last crack of the bat of the Star Wars saga.
I know.
So,
I know.
what do you think? They wrap it up good?
I'm gonna miss this maybe more than the show than the movies, but I didn't love this movie. Although I don't know, even as I watched it the second time, that I could articulate why. I think that it felt more like a non-event to a certain extent. Like, there's a lot of things happened, but ultimately, like, I walked away, I didn't remember any of it. And it might just be because, I mean, like, I think The Last Jedi left me in a sort of place of apathy to a certain extent, you know. But I don't know.
You were not a fan?
No. I actually think my take is that in there is a really beautiful movie that might be very good if it wasn't a Star Wars movie. I don't really like that's sort of my take. And then this was like, I don't know, it was like overcorrecting or something. It was just, but I don't know. Like, when I watched it, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I think it's possible to find little things in there and cool things. You know, on all of them, the last bunch of them are really well made. They're really good to look at. The lightsaber battles in this, if you want, lots of space, you know, crafts flying around and shooting each other, like it's all fun. But, you know, ultimately, is this going to stick with me? Not really. You know, nothing's gonna beat the experience from the original stuff and living with them for so long for us. I'm very aware and respectful of the fact that everybody's Star Wars is their Star Wars and it's fine. And I want desperate, like Force Awakens, like I was all in. I was like, yes, like this is. I'm getting the feeling it's already. I really like. I like Rey. I think she is a fantastic sort of, not successor to Luke Skywalker type character. I think it's right in the wheelhouse of what it is, and I don't think that it sat incredibly well with me. The reveal, like she's a Palpatine. It just didn't feel right. That's probably part of it too. Like it wasn't, it's Star Wars. It wasn't like triumphant. Like everybody they spent years sort of like speculating about it. It was unexpected. I don't think anybody was like, I knew that was what was going to happen, but it also wasn't what you wanted to happen. And I don't know if it had been like, oh my God, she's Rey Kenobi, would I have said, ugh, that's so stupid? Probably. I probably wouldn't have. I would have been happy with anything because it's not going to deliver. Because I'm not 8 and found out that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father, and that's it. Like that's the thrill you're searching for. It's like you're like a drug addict's first time or whatever. Like you're never going to beat that.
Yeah.
So it's all going to be
chasing that crate dragon.
Yeah, diminishing returns. Not to be tried.
What if they had been like Wedge Antilles? What?
Oh,
that's
how are you so?
I would have been thrilled about that. I was like, that makes no sense and is ridiculous. And that is funny. Mm-hmm. Someone should throw a
that
pie.
Would make Rey and Snap would be siblings then.
What does that make them? Absolutely nothing. Like I don't have, like I thought, like, I thought that The Last Jedi was incredibly disrespectful to the idea of Luke Skywalker and what he was. It was a deconstruction. Like it was like giving you the opposite of what it should have, which is a great idea in most films. Whereas this kind of did give you what you want, but it didn't really. It was like too late. I really still like The Force Awakens.
Do you think if you had asked J.J. Abrams at the end of The Force Awakens, like, okay, so what do you think is going to happen? Like, what would you do next if you were doing it? Do you think he would have had Luke, going back and rejoining the rebels and all that? I mean, obviously, I don't think he saw him as being a hermit living in the, choosing to live in that cave.
The very idea that the character who is in A New Hope and represents hope gave up and, went off to an island to live by himself. I was like, I don't buy that. But then again, Yoda seemed to have done it. So I don't know. Like there's justifications.
It is a kind of.
It's true.
All the people who taught him did the same thing.
Yeah, but the idea was that he's better. That he's supposed to ascend. Like he's better than his father. He's better than Obi-Wan. Yoda has set him up. He's gonna, he blew up the Death Star. And when we come back to him after all this time, we find out like he was like, that's such a bummer. That's like, and you're talking about people our age. So the context of it is that we watched a man whose best years are behind him and he just gave up. That's so like I don't want that.
Yeah, I liked that actually. I liked the direction they went with because it's someone, I don't remember who said it, but someone said you can tell the story and depending on when you end it, it can be either a happy story or a sad story because any story long enough, it's just Luke gets old and dies. Like
right,
like there I don't know. I thought it was a good direction, but I can understand people who. If you think of it as like Luke lives happily ever after, the end, like that's kind of, you expect him to be the hero still, but the fact that he's not, it's, more complex. And then again, I don't know if that complexity should be in Star Wars. So
well, that's the question. So like, there's this sort of root feeling of, for me, it's always like, this is Star Wars. This is not Star Wars. Like it is, but it doesn't feel like it. So Andor, for example. I thought that was really good and entertaining. It's not Star Wars. It takes place in the Star Wars universe, but it didn't feel like it. Rogue One, it's grown on me a little bit. Parts of it are kind of Star Wars, and then parts of it are not in that, like, I was like, when you were kids, you wanted that violent, gritty war movie kind of thing. And then I got it and I was like, maybe not. It's too real. It's too, I don't know. It's, but I think it's me. I think it's all so subjective with this stuff. It's like everything that you just said about the story of Luke Skywalker, and then he turns and walks away. Are you going to come back? We all are expecting they're going to hunt for him, and they're going to find him, and then he's going to be triumphant. And any kind of storyteller worth their salt is like, I can't give you exactly what you expect. But in this instance, maybe they should have, because it's different. It's literally the popcorn movie. So in the popcorn movie, you can do the cliche. As long as you make it cool. Like, you're allowed to do that there, and in most things you are not.
Right.
But again, I don't know. I don't know how they would have done it differently. I wanted to see I'm a jaded, bitter, I wouldn't have minded to see my boyhood hero save the day, or help Rey save the day more directly. You just think he'd be more
about Wedge or Luke?
Yes. I don't know. You think he'd, A New Hope. He's the New Hope. And it's.
Yeah.
But he should have helped. He shouldn't have saved the day. He should have helped Rey save the day, brought Ben back, and I would have. I don't mind a happy ending for these people. And I don't think they got it. But war is hell, I guess. I'll give you this.
Well, we'll have to see. Once the new movie comes out with Rey in her school, we'll find out that everyone had a nice, happy ending.
I think
we'll see that Poe married Felicity, and Janna and Finn got married, and BB-8 married Dio, and everyone wound up paired up at the end.
But it turned out the whole time that Felicity was actually a spy for the Imperials, but she had been living embedded with her husband, who's a Welshman, but you wouldn't know it. Sorry. I think the real value of all of it is that it is fun, at least in the movies. I think it gets too out there in the shows. God, I'm rambling. But it's fun to talk about this. And it's fun to understand, why didn't I like it? And if I didn't like it, what would I have wanted? And would that, trying to understand what is the magic? What is the thing you're looking for? What is the thing that it does for you? Because this is, we're all here because this is the closest thing we have to religion. And I don't even say that, as a joke. Some people grew up with Bible stories. This is the morality tale that informed me in a very, very real way, and you still, I can be like, I don't know, man, those movies aren't talking to me, but I still want to understand it. I still want to, you can sit here and I can talk endlessly, thinking about it. So that's the value of it for me, I guess.
Well, that's a nice, thoughtful note to end things on. All right, I guess that'll wrap up minute number 115. People should check out iFanboy to hear more of Josh's commentary
soliloquies
on cultural things.
we do. If you're curious for some reason, we do a weekly podcast of the comics, mostly mainstream comics that come out in a given week. So stuff that's good. We love to talk about the dumb stuff, but also the craft and things that are why comics are good. That's basically the exploration of the thing. And even in the sort of junkiest mainstream workaday comics, there's awesome craftsmen doing that stuff, and it's really interesting to understand why it works and why it doesn't. And we make stupid jokes too, just like this show.
Oh, wait, that's a podcast where people make stupid jokes?
Oh.
I should check that out. Right?
Yeah, apparently, if you take some middle-aged white guys and you have them talk about things that are related to things they enjoyed in their adolescence, gold.
Go on.
That's the formula. Go ahead.
I learned it by watching you.
Well, thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us all this week and for being a guest on every season of the show.
Yeah.
So
I did it.
You did it.
It was getting late. I was a little worried.
Friends.
What did I do? But no, this was good. I didn't even the wedge. You sent me the wedge thing. I was like, what a thoughtful gift.
That was one of the ones we had penciled in right from the
it.
start. We're like, we have to get Josh in the wedge minutes. So, and listeners, until Monday, have a good weekend. Star Wars
Hero of the
Minute.
Rebellion.
Minute.